So these are Spider-Verse figures from Sentinel, and today I'm recreating 12 poses from Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. We'll relive some of the movie's most iconic moments by putting these figures to the test, so let's grab these figures and let the challenge begin. For our first pose, I want to kick things off with my favorite poster from the movie, Miles Morales suited up in his hoodie, shorts, and J's. This shot does a great job of showing that unique style of Miles stepping into his role as Spider-Man, and that's one of the reasons I love it so much. This figure comes with a bunch of accessories, including the ones we'll need, a left splayed hand and right fist, and most importantly, the apparel, which is actually made from plastic instead of soft goods. To get this pose prepped a bit, I'll start by raising the arms and then turning the head to the left slightly so that it'll be facing the camera once we get the shot. Sentinel packed this figure with several articulation points, making poses like this very easy to achieve. There is going to be a lot of tinkering with this pose just to make sure that everything is angled properly, especially when it comes to the legs, because you want to see things like the left sole of the shoe, Miles' torso twisted to the left, his right arm raised at the back, and then of course his head peeking through the hood. The neat thing about the jacket with this figure is that it's sculpted very similar to the windswept motion in the poster, so there was no additional posing required on my end. Once I saw that everything looked pretty close to the poster, I just made a few more micro adjustments here and there, and the pose was ready to go. Next up is Peter Parker. I really like the pose where he leaps off of the building, so let's give this one a shot. If you're just adding this figure to your collection, your Peter will be in dad bod mode, so we need to swap out a few pieces to get him shaped properly. He'll also need a left relaxed hand and right web shooting hand. The downside to using Sentinel's web shooting hands though is that the webbing is pre-attached, so this pose won't be entirely accurate, but I still really want to get it done, so we're gonna go for it. The first thing I wanted to do was work on the legs, so I started by paying attention to the shot and trying to match that look that we see there, making sure the left leg was bent all the way and raised up, and the right leg dangling down and curved. I continued posing by having the left arm hanging at the back and then working on his torso to have it twisted just right. The main thing you want to focus on when nailing this pose is to match that carefree look to his leap. Adding those subtle bends in the arms and legs are necessary to having this casual look. One of the coolest characters in Into the Spider-Verse is Spider-Gwen, especially when she makes her first appearance in the movie. So for this figure, I'm going to try two poses, a dynamic landing and a mid-air shot from when she kicked Doc Ock. For our landing pose, I'll be using both splayed hands, but the kicking pose will use a left gripping hand and right splayed hand. Starting with the landing pose, I wanted to focus on key features we see in the shot, like how her left leg is extended out this far, how deep the knee is bent on the right leg, and how far back the arms are pushed. The joints on this figure handle these parts of the pose with no problem at all, especially with curving that right toe. However, my biggest issue was getting her to lean forward like we see in the shot. This is how close I got to achieving the pose, so let me know what you all think. For Gwen's kick, I decided to switch the head with squinted eyes and use the web line, some of the cool pieces included with Sentinel Spider-Gwen. Compared to the landing pose, the legs were way easier to work with, and although they may not have that exaggerated animated look from the movie, like how long Gwen's left leg looks in this shot, I do think this pose conveys Gwen's flair quite well. Swinging it back to Miles, let's do a pose that a lot of you asked me to try, Leap of Faith. This is one of the most iconic scenes from the movie, and that music only made it better. Now for this pose, I'm going for the poster version instead of the distant movie shot, because we see more of the detail here. Before I started posing, I made sure to give Miles the untied laces seen in the poster, and now we can begin. To achieve this pose, it's really about the subtlety in how each of the joints are positioned, and you want to capture this falling motion. And you also want to make sure to have Miles' head pushed all the way back into the hood so that he's looking in the direction that he's falling. There is a cell phone holding hand included with this figure, and I think that it matches the one seen in this poster quite well, so that's the one that I decided to go with. After checking back and forth between the poster and the figure, I think that Miles is ready to finally become Spider-Man. For our next pose, let's try to recreate this moment between Miles and Peter B. Parker during the Collider fight. We're basically going to be setting both characters up in a crouched position while making sure Peter's hand is resting on Miles' neck. We also need to make sure that the two characters are making eye contact with one another. This was a very simple pose to tackle, but I really liked how this shot looked in the movie, and I wanted to recreate it here with these figures. Do you know what makes a Spider-Man movie 10 times better? Having the one and only Nicolas Cage as a Spider-Man character.
Sometimes I let matches burn down to my fingertips just to feel something, anything.
Sentinel made his character Spider-Man Noir, so I had to find a shot to recreate with this figure. For Spider-Man Noir, I specifically went with this shot where he tips his hat. I just like that slight gesture he makes. To kick this pose off, I started by pushing the coat tail back and posing the legs. His left leg will have a very sharp bend, while the right leg has a natural curve flowing from the thigh to the foot. Once that's done, I'll start by positioning the arms in the right positions and twisting the torso a bit. Sentinel included hands with a separation between the thumbs and other fingers, which is perfect for touching the brim of the hat to nail that hat tilt. We need to make sure we capture this windswept motion in the coattails. The tail of his coat has some articulation, so you can show that motion by just messing around with the joints. It was a bit finicky, but the joints held their position, which is great. For the final touch, I'll just give him a web line and he's ready to go. Let's go ahead and try one more pose from a movie poster. I'm going for the one with Peter crouched and holding his coffee mug. This is just another one of those poses that's super easy to capture thanks to the figure's impressive range. You will want to make sure he's hunched over to the max, the knees are bent all the way, and that the mug is around the torso area. For our next 3 poses, I'm going to do a speed round where I recreate these poses. This shot of Peter dashing forward, a shot from Miles' ending swing, and Peter swinging kick from his recap moment. I think that these shots captured some great action moments fitting for these characters, and if you want some inspiration for dynamic poses in your Spider-Man display, these are a great start. The range of articulation on these Sentinel figures were able to handle these poses with no problems whatsoever. Let me know which one is your favorite. And for our 12th and final pose, let's try one more moment from Miles' swing at the end of the movie. Before posing, just make sure that your figure is using displayed hands and you're ready to go. I started with positioning the arms in the general area they need to be in based on the shot, and then I readjusted the head so that it'll be looking in the right direction. After that, let's get those knees bent and have the left sole of his foot shown. After that, you may need to make a few adjustments to refine the pose as much as possible, and you're pretty much done. This pose really captures the feeling of Miles in action, and I think it's a great way to finish things off too. What do you all think? And let me know which poses from the ending you would recreate. And there you have it, 12 epic poses from Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse brought to life with these amazing action figures. I've got more unboxings and posing challenges coming soon, so get subscribed and hit that bell notification so you don't miss out. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one with more action figure goodness. Peace.